Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-wife's fiancé the truth about our divorce? My 33 male ex-wife, 30 female, and I got divorced 3 years ago. In college, we worked at the same restaurant. That's where we met. We were together for 7 years and married for a little over 3.5. We divorced because she cheated, twice. 2 years into our marriage, I discover she's having an affair with a former classmate. I collect enough evidence and confront her. She confesses everything. The affair was about 2 months long. This was a really terrible time and was really hard to work through with her. You can call me an idiot, but I'm a forgiving person. I do believe in second chances and that people can change. We agreed to reconcile. We did the work. We had marriage counseling. We read some of the books. She went no contact with classmates right away. Open phone policy. We told our parents. She was doing the right things and our relationship was recovering. 1 year into our reconciliation, her aunt dies. I am very busy with work and cannot attend the services, as they are on Thursday and Friday back in her hometown 5 hours away. Her parents and brother no longer live there, so she stayed with a good friend from high school. I had met this friend a few times and was comfortable with that. On Saturday morning, my wife texted me that the car was loaded and she was about to start making the drive home. About an hour after that, I got a Facebook message from the friend, who stated she wouldn't be able to live with herself if she just let this go, but informed me that my wife had gone out Friday night with some old friends from high school. The friend thought nothing of this until she discovered my wife had left her phone behind and that she didn't come back until the following morning. I had gotten a text that Friday night from my wife that she was going to bed early since the past few days had been emotionally draining. I confronted my wife as soon as she got home. She was really hesitant to tell me anything, so I lied to her and told her that if we were going to work through this, I needed to know everything like the last time. That got her to confess that she had gone out and had gone home with an old friend from high school. She said they didn't have sex, but did do stuff that I won't go into detail about here. It didn't matter. Once I got enough of the truth, I left for my parents' house. That week, my dad called my landlord and paid all the termination fees and got me out of the lease. We went and got my stuff while she was at work. My parents then set me up with a friend of theirs that was a divorce attorney and he cut me a deal. Took about 7 months for divorce to go final. That was 3 years ago. I have an awesome girlfriend and I'm doing well. This past weekend, I got a Facebook message from a guy who is now engaged to my ex-wife. He introduced himself and said he was probably just being crazy, but he wanted to know why we had gotten divorced. He said he had broached the subject a few times, and she always gets weird. She had told him we had divorced because we grew apart, but mostly she just deflects, or is really vague. I told him the truth and offered evidence if he would like. He declined and thanked me for my time and story. A day later, I get a phone call from a local but unknown number. I answer and it's my ex-wife. She is really upset at asking me why I'm trying to ruin her future. I get her to come down and talk. She says her fiancé has asked for some space and is staying with his parents this week. That he is saying he needs to reevaluate their relationship. She wants to know why I told him all about our past and why I'm still punishing her. She tells me she's not that person anymore and has done all this work and been in therapy. That she deserves another chance and I'm being petty and hateful. There were a few generic insults thrown. I got a little mad and told her if she really changed for the better, she would have been upfront with him about her/our past and owned up to cheating in her prior marriage. And then gone about showing her fiancé that she was ready to be a worthy partner to him and like she was with me. Instead, she tried to lie and hide the truth, and now it's blowing up in her face again. She said a few choice words and hung up. I haven't heard anything since. I told my girlfriend and she reassured how I handled it. But I find myself feeling guilty. I still believe in second chances and that people can change. While I would have felt wrong lying to the guy, I wonder if I should have handled the whole thing differently or just not responded. If she is truly different and this is just a blip, I don't want to be the thing that prevents her from finding happiness, but also believe I'm not what's hurting her engagement. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He wouldn't have reached out if he didn't see any red flags. I think this is the answer. There is a reason he sought OP out. He clearly had concerns about the relationship. OP, I don't think you're in the wrong. I think your response to both your ex and her fiancé were correct. Hopefully, your ex will learn to truly do the work and find a way to be honest with her current fiancé or future relationships if this one decides he can't stick with her. Not a-hole. Yes, exactly. Also, if she had changed, she would have been honest about it. But instead, she was cagey and lying, which is the exact same behavior as when she cheated. So no, she isn't a different person. She hasn't changed in one iota. Not a-hole. I'm like you. I would feel guilty because at a glance, it seems like being honest about your experience caused your ex to potentially lose her relationship. However, you are holding yourself accountable for someone else's actions. Your ex cheated. Your ex withheld information from her current partner. Your ex is still avoiding accountability. You are not responsible for her actions. Anything that happens in her relationship is her problem, not yours. Thank you for this. I got to remind myself of that. I hate causing others pain, so I'm glad to hear from someone who can relate. She made choices. You simply answered the question honestly. Dude deserves the facts. Focus on him, not her. Her actions, then and now, caused her pain, not you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not willing my house to my girlfriend after she put her house up for sale when moving in with me? I, male 53, was married for 20 years, and my wife passed away 4 years ago. We had no children, so many years ago we both did our wills. In our wills, we gave each other everything, and if we both died, then everything would go to my wife's nieces and nephews. I have no living relatives. One of the reasons I did this was because my wife's parents had some money, and my wife inherited several $1,000,000 from them. One of the things we did with her inheritance was we bought our dream house. It's a big house, about 4,500 square feet, and has a 1,500 square foot garage out in the country. About a year ago, I met Samantha, 55 female. She has her own house, but she would always come over to my house and spend the night. We got to talking, and I said she could move in with me. Samantha has a daughter who is 25 and asked if she could move in too. My basement is pretty big, with a small kitchen and a few extra bedrooms, etc., so I didn't mind. Samantha is in the process of selling her house, and she asked me if I would put in my will that she would get my house if I died. I told her, no, that was for my in-laws' money, and that should go all to my nieces and nephews as it says in my will. Samantha argues that if I die and she has no house, she will have no place to live. I told her, yeah, you get the money from the sale of your house, plus you won't have a mortgage payment. So take that money and put it in a money market account. I was pretty put off by this conversation because from my point of view, Samantha would have zero expenses and she could put all her money into savings, minus whatever she wants to buy herself. Not like she doesn't have a job. We got heated over this conversation and Samantha said that I was trying to control her with money. When she said that, I told her that maybe this relationship wasn't such a good idea. So am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. I would tell Samantha that you aren't being controlling, you aren't asking for any of her money, and you ask that she does the same of you. If this is a problem, then she shouldn't sell her house and live with you. You are just setting the expectation that your house will go to your late wife's family. Samantha should not sell her house honestly. If I were in her shoes, I would turn it into a rental property or let the daughter live there for at least a year before selling. This OP. Girlfriend needs to keep her house and rent it to her daughter or another tenant. She is in no way entitled to inherit a house purchased with money belonging to your deceased wife and her family, which she wanted left to them at OP's passing. You may or may not be surprised to know how often this scenario sets up this way. I'm actually surprised your wife's attorney didn't insist upon making sure your joint wills didn't set in stone as soon as she passed. My parents did their wills that way after watching multiple second wives of friends inherit all of the first wife's estates, cutting out the first wife's children entirely. My friend's dad remarried after her mom died. Her parents had an agreement that mom's half of everything would go to their kids. Her dad changed his will, so everything would go to the new wife, even her mom's jewelry. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he can't divorce me and still consider himself my daughter's stepdad? My 42 female 16-year-old daughter is not my husband's biological daughter. Her dad decided after I got pregnant that the mom of his child wasn't the woman he wanted to marry and is not in her life. It was just me and my daughter for the next 7 years until I married my husband. We had 3 kids in quick succession after we got married. They're now 8 male, 7 female, and 5 female. I recently found out I was pregnant, and that has made my marriage worse. My daughter's dad first lived off of others giving him money to be an equestrian. He later, I found out, started getting hired as riding instructor / helped others take care of their horses. His inconsistent income / 1099 status was what he used to dodge his financial responsibilities. I started my daughter on this path as a hobby, but it was clear that she was talented. I would work a second job as a stable aide so that she could afford lessons, would drive other kids to and from lessons, and do other odd jobs to put towards her training expenses, until I married my husband and became a stay-at-home mom. My husband was very supportive of her pursuit until she entered high school. We were looking into possible future scholarships, which I understand are rare, to come out of her competing, or college with equestrian programs. My husband started lying about how my daughter did not want to do this, and how he loves her more than me because he understands her better. He embarrassed me by complaining about the other moms whose kids competed, saying they were snobs, or that he didn't want me to try to fit in with them or get their approval. Then he'd complain to parents about the new group lesson costs, etc. I found out I was pregnant and went with my daughter to an event and got too sick and tired to attend a school open house, and he flipped out on me when he came home. We got into a fight, and he told me that this isn't working out. I feel he says that to scare me, but I was not scared of divorce because I'm not going to grovel for his approval, and I can make it work without him. I told him I'll happily grant his divorce. He then says he wants joint custody of all the kids. I told him that legally he has no grounds with my daughter. He says she can still come to his place when he has the other kids, and I remind him she doesn't have a license and I don't owe him any agreement to drive her to his place. He screams, "She is my stepdaughter. I've been her dad." I told him he cannot just want to divorce his pregnant wife and get the benefits of that, including my general cooperation with his divorce, and still claim the title of my daughter's stepdad. He can't have his cake and eat it too. Legally, I am in the right, since I never adopted her. He does not want to support my 16-year-old's goals. With a divorce, he doesn't have the responsibility that being an equestrian parent entails. All her bills will be coming out of my account. But that means he cannot just continue to enjoy all the benefits of that without any of the responsibility. I don't think that's fair. I told my daughter that her stepdad wants a divorce because he absolutely hates paying for her lessons. Says they are making her into a snob like me and the other moms. She's a people pleaser, so should say yes to seeing him just to not hurt his feelings. But she has said that if he really hates her because she wants to be an equestrian, then she just wants to continue her passion. And it seems most conducive to do so where she's living with me and not seeing somebody who actively wants to stop her future dreams. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. It sounds like you're weaponizing your daughter because your husband wants a divorce. Has he actually said these things about her and her lessons? Something seems a bit off with the story. That's what I took away from this post. My daughter has an expensive hobby. My husband can't afford it, so I'm divorcing him and refuse to let him see the daughter he raised. To make it easier for her to hate him, I am blaming the divorce on my husband not wanting to support her. If you want to pay for your daughter so bad, then get a job to pay for her hobby, and stop blaming your husband to alienate him from your daughter. He raised her and he wants custody of her. Are you going to divorce him and tell your daughter, well, it looks like none of your fathers love you. At least her siblings have a father. I'm sure that will work out great for her well-being and mental health. Also, the message to the daughter, your hobby caused you to lose your stepdad. Super messed up. Even if it were true, I wouldn't tell a kid that. Does your daughter want him in her life still? And you told her that he wants to divorce you because of her lessons? Wow. Yeah, you're the a-hole for that alone. That is honestly the worst thing you could do in a divorce. I can't fathom a parent inflicting pain on their child to hurt their partner. Both the daughter and husband deserve so much better than Opie. She's literally treating her daughter like a personal vendetta tool. No consideration for ripping away the man she obviously seemed to have considered a father. Legally, he has no right? Get out of here. Truly Mother of the Year. And by the way, knowing the culture around horses, I am very liable to agree with the father's version of events. Last story. Am I the a-hole for resenting my wife for not believing my side of the story? I, male 46, have been married to my wife, Heather, female 45, for 18 years. We have 2 kids, 16 female and 14 male. We work for the same company, but in different departments. She works on a different floor of our building. We recently hired a new employee, Sarah, female 30. I helped her a lot with her training and even prepared a guide for her so she could catch up on the new role quickly. I told her she could drop by anytime if she had a question. She kept coming to my desk to chit-chat. Even my coworker Chris, who shares an office with me, noticed. I thought she was new and lonely, so not a big deal. She asked me to go out for lunch with her. I laughed and joked, asking if Chris wanted to join us for lunch. Then Sarah looked at me and said no. She meant just us to talk. Plus, she wanted to buy me lunch because I'd been so nice to her. Chris gave me a look. I told her she didn't have to and that I was just doing my job. She insisted and I agreed. During lunch, she started rubbing my hand. I moved my hand and changed the topic to my wife, bringing her up repeatedly. She eventually said she found me attractive and wanted to be more than friends, suggesting we start with friends with benefits and see where it goes. She said she thought I wasn't happy in my marriage because I was having lunch with her and laughing, while she never saw me having lunch with my wife. I told her I was married and wanted to keep our friendship professional. She didn't like my reply and became quiet. I apologized, but she said it was all good. I paid a bill for both of us since it was so awkward, and we went back to work. I received a letter from HR telling me they needed to talk to me because Sarah filed a complaint. She said I'd asked her out for lunch, been inappropriate and handsy, and even pressured her to sleep with me, but she left. I was floored. Luckily, my coworker Chris can confirm my side of the story. I immediately told my wife the whole thing and she got furious at me. She said she believed Sarah's side because she stands by the victim. I told her Sarah was lying. Chris can confirm she invited me. Also, I wasn't inappropriate. I didn't touch her and turn her down. My wife rolled her eyes and said Sarah is a gorgeous woman much younger than me, implying I took advantage of her. I was so annoyed. I've always been faithful to her. How could she possibly think of me like this? Luckily, the HR issue was resolved, and I just have to do some training. I asked to move to another team, so I won't be working with Sarah anymore. Am I the a-hole for resenting my wife for not believing my side? For taking her side without any proof? I basically barely talked to my wife since the incident. This will get lost in the sea of comments, but I'm wondering if the restaurant has a video recording of the dining area. You could prove you're telling the truth really quickly with a recording of her getting handsy and you pulling away. I'm gonna check with the restaurant. It's a small cafe/restaurant within walking distance of our office. Speaking of intel, I wonder what her behavior/performance was like at her previous jobs. The fact she pursued you and then reported false accusations to HR this quickly into a new job suggests a level of diabolical confidence in my opinion. A reckless immaturity, I guess. Regardless, something ain't right, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was some kind of MO for her. I don't know how you could safely investigate her past, but something to think about. Not the a-hole, obviously. This is just a perfect example of the double standard that men deal with in these types of situations. Your wife should know you well enough by now to know the truth. Several comments support exactly the conclusion you're reaching here. This type of lying/double standard can ruin someone's life so easily. It can, and it has. I'm a woman, and I think women who lie about things like this and destroy lives on a whim are one of the lowest forms of human scum. Not only is OP a direct victim of this woman's reputation-ruining lies, but every woman who legitimately had something happen to her and was not believed is also an indirect victim. There should be harsh consequences for women that lie about assault. I understand why there isn't, but it's absolutely infuriating to see anyone do something like this and walk away from the wreckage with no repercussions.